Alrighty, welcome into the Whatcom County Football Podcast. It's episode 45. I'm your host, Ryland Spencer from CascadiaPreps.com. Along with me, Tyler Anderson from Whatcom Preps. And tonight we have new Bellingham head football coach, Robb Myhre. Coach, how's it going?
Doing well, thanks. How are you guys?
I'm doing all right. Tyler, how you doing over there?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. You know, the weather's getting colder, but things are going pretty well.
Coach, Friday night, we're recording on Friday. This will be put out on a Wednesday, but Friday night, do you know who you would have been playing tonight if the season was going on?
Boy, that's a great question. I had that all memorized, but it went by the wayside, and that paper went straight into the garbage as soon as that happened. And so I don't remember, really, to be honest with you. I think there would have been a good chance it would have been Anacortes.
What does a Friday night look like right now for Coach Myhre and the Myhre household?
Well, right now the grandkids are over for a little babysitting by the grandparents, and that happens quite a bit, which is awesome. And we were just outside playing basketball and having some fun, and I had completely forgotten that we were getting together tonight. Appreciated Tyler's phone call.
Yeah, Tyler and I usually speak about a half hour before the Zoom starts, and he literally calls me every week right at 6:30. I mean, right on the dot. He's on it.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, new Bellingham head. I guess new, but it's been a while since you kind of took over there. But why Bellingham? What is it about Bellingham? You were at Nooksack Valley for quite a while. What is it about Bellingham that intrigued you so much?
You know, I didn't really have a plan to be coaching after last season. I was kind of looking forward to some time off, and but I talked to Chad Larson, the Bellingham athletic director, very shortly afterwards. We went out for dinner, and he I don't know if we can say he took me out to dinner, if that's a recruiting violation or not, but we went out to dinner and just had a good conversation and just really talked about their needs and how they hadn't finished the season last year because of a lack of players, and just trying to bring some excitement back into that program, and really no pressure. Just let's get this thing started back and going. And it really was exciting to me. And, my elementary school years were in Bellingham. I went to the schools that actually feed Bellingham High School. If I had stayed out there or in town, I would have been a Bellingham High School kid. And so all of that was kind of intriguing to me. And so just as the conversation went along, it just like, shoot, fresh start. I can do whatever I want, and let's go for it. And so that's kind of how that developed.
That's awesome, Coach. And we've talked about the history of Whatcom County football, which is kind of what my passion is, and you were a part of that history, playing at Nooksack Valley in the mid to late 80s, and taking over a team that is kind of a blank slate, so to speak. Not a lot of kids. You can start fresh. They've been struggling in past years. You kind of went through some of those years during high school. Especially your junior year. I bring it up to you a few times every once in a while, but just to put it out there, no offensive touchdowns the whole season by that team. Averaged like less than a yard a play on offense or something. A really young team, freshman quarterback, freshman receiver, sophomore running back, and you were a junior playing fullback and on the offensive line. But the defense was still pretty strong, and it was headed up by you. What do you remember about that season?
Boy, it was a tough season, no question.
Right.
We had a good senior quarterback in Mike Ball, who's now a Border Patrol agent up here, and Mike, on a play at Linden Christian, they had the light posts inside the track at the time, and he took a little QB sweep over there, and I was blocking some guys, and it seemed like between me, the two LC guys, and Mike went head first into that unpadded light post, and ended up breaking his neck. Not to the point where it did any nerve damage or anything, but obviously spent about 2 weeks in the hospital and put him out the season. Well, that brought in a really young quarterback, and that was a devastating blow to our team.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were young, obviously, we had our struggles, and we just really had a hard time getting the football in the end zone. Thanks to the defense, we got a couple touchdowns, and I think we got a safety somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
But
thanks to you, Coach. You could be modest all you want, but I saw that pick six against Meridian.
Well, that ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage for Andy Snyder, and I happened to catch it. And then Art Mashak was the running back for at the time, and Art was faster than I was. And it was like, oh boy, gonna run like heck, and hopefully I don't pull any fat, and I'll make it to the end. My kids still look at that. They saw that film when you posted it, and see me carrying it in one hand, and they're like, "What is that skill?" I'm like, hey, we hadn't scored a touchdown all year. I'm carrying the football.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. And then of course you stayed locally. Played a little bit at Western. What do you remember about those days? You were a linebacker playing in high school, but they moved you to defensive end. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. And I got there and I enjoyed my time there, but I was really excited to be a linebacker. It's a position I'd played from 8 years old on.
Yeah.
And moving to the strong side defensive end, where my job was to maul the tight end, and then hopefully something would come my way. Just for me, wasn't quite as fun as playing inside backer and having the right to go all over the field. That junior year at Nooksack was a lot of fun, but gave me a bad taste because we put in this defense called Monster, and I could essentially choose where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do at all times. And so coming from that to eventually getting to Western and being this DN that's job was to maul the tight end, it was an important spot, but it was just not that enjoyable for me. And it's a different atmosphere going to college football year round and all of that. And I had this girlfriend who's now my wife that was a big draw as well. And we got married probably just after my junior year, and the football career came to an end.
You mentioned your kids seeing the film of the interception there. Trevin and Tanner, you coach both of them. Both of them were quarterbacks. Trevin played a few different positions, but now they're going to be assistant coaches for you, correct?
Yeah, they've been out our first two practices out at Bellingham and really been a great help because they're the two people out there with me that know what I want to do and know what the expectations are, know how to run the drills, et cetera. And so they've been a huge help, and it's just fun to, hang out with them again. It was a tough time when they graduated and you see your kids move on. If they had been the last guy off the bench, it would have been extremely hard for me to watch them go to graduate. And it was no matter what.
You mentioned that they're helping you out there in terms of running drills and such. You're kind of getting to see your team for the first time. COVID-19 obviously wiped out not only spring ball, but also the fall football season. Now you're getting to see your team. What have been those challenges? What's been the hardest thing for you getting to this point today?
Well, I was introduced to the team in the Performance Center at Bellingham way back in February. And then after that, it wasn't long as we started to talk a little bit through Zoom meetings. We did one other little 8th grade night in town where I saw a few of the kids, but my knowledge of the kids was shaking hands with them one day and being introduced to them, seeing a few on a freshman night in town, and then never seeing them again except for headshots on Zoom meetings through the summer, et cetera. And so we got to the end of summer, just a month ago, and some of the boys started talking to me, hey, what position am I going to play? And I said, I have seen you from the neck up. I don't know if you're 5'4" or 6'4". And I don't know if you can walk and chew gum. That's impossible for me to answer. I don't really remember your name, to be honest with you. And so that's been a real struggle. And then the Bellingham School District has just been behind in getting out to practices and stuff too. And so all of that is kind of delayed everything, but that's okay. We're excited now. We're getting out there and having fun, and it's been great just to watch the boys 2 times and get out on the field. It's a beautiful practice field in town.
Yeah.
And it's going to even grow with the baseball field turning into turf, and that should be done by February 1st, which will be another football practice field. And I am not one that likes to get muddy feet, and so getting out on a turf field is perfectly fine by me.
That's awesome. Coach, I've followed your team, the teams that you've coached for decades now. And whether it was when I was writing for the Herald or doing what I'm doing now. And there was a big change in your offense about 12 years ago. You went to the Tony Franklin offense. Is that something that you'd want to continue at Bellingham?
Yeah, that would be our goal. It's something we've come to know pretty well, and we like some of the stuff that it offers, and we'd like to establish the run game even more than we have in the past. Mm-hmm. But for Bellingham, I think it fits perfect in the fact that they finished the season with 22 or 23 guys. And anytime we can make football exciting and fun and maybe draw some of those basketball players out, mm-hmm. et cetera, they see, hey, look at those guys. They go out and turn out and throw the ball around all day long. We're going to go out and play throw and catch. That looks like fun. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that we really want to attract kids with. And to be honest with you, I think we have right now 1 senior on the team and 50 kids signed up. So I think there is some excitement. I think, especially in those younger classes, and hopefully we'll just build from there.
Coach, speaking of running that Tony Franklin offense, I loved watching both your kids run it. Especially Tanner was just so much fun. It seemed like he was the starting quarterback forever. But there was one game in particular, his sophomore year, in a late October game against Blaine. Now there's a story behind that, and if you'd like to tell kind of the audience about what kind of emotional night that was for you.
Yeah, just you mentioning that brings up emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, my body tingles just you saying that. We celebrated that anniversary here just a couple days ago, October 25th. And, hopefully I can get through this part, but I was in the locker room 5:30, probably just before the game. The kids it's probably about 5:45 because the kids had all taken the field for our warm-ups. And I was just wrapping really in the bathroom of my office, putting my shirt on and my coat on, and I got a call from my brother, and he was down in Seattle. He lives up here, but he was down in Seattle, and said, hey, you need to get up to the house. They're doing CPR on Dad. I'm like, who is this? Who's calling me? It's like, it's your brother, Scott. You need to get up to the house. They're doing CPR on Dad. And so I had one other coach, one of my great friends, in the office with me, and he kind of looked at me and says, everything all right? And I said, I don't think so. My dad lived 2 miles from the school, just a ways up the hill. And so anyway, long story short, he ended up passing away that night. And so I ran up there and, then coming back, we sat there with my stepmom and my sister and just really not knowing what to do. Nobody, obviously, at the stadium knew what was going on. But my dad was a pretty popular guy in the community. And it was like, oh, my son Tanner's going to start tonight, and he doesn't know that I'm even gone.
Right.
And people are going to start to wonder, where the heck is the coach here soon? So talked it over with my stepmom and my sister, and they're like, well, what would your dad want you to do? And he's still, they're still working outside with him, and they're like, he wants you to get back to that game. And so I had their blessing, and so then I went, and my buddy went and grabbed Tanner off the field, and we had some real tears in the locker room right before the game started. We didn't tell anybody else except for the coaching staff. We went out and played the game. He had an incredible game.
Yeah.
My daughters met me at halftime. I never said anything before the game, obviously, to the team. I couldn't say anything at halftime. The coaching staff did a great job really doing most of the game. The rest of the game was kind of in a fog. And then And then my oldest son got back from Central. I'd called him right when I was heading to the game, and he flew home, got a speeding ticket flying home from Central, and that never even got reduced. But anyway, so I met him right after the game. It was a really, really tough night. But then I told the team right when the game finished was the first time they found out, and they had played a heck of a game. And Tanner just was full mode doing it for Grandpa that night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you remember score, who you played, anything like that, Coach?
Yeah, that was Blaine. They had Mario Gabato as their running back and had a huge season that year. And we did some things defensively with Trey Handy, who was just a really good player, kind of moved him around, made him a spy on Mario. And so that big night for us defensively against them. And then, like I said, I don't know what Tanner ended up with, but between passing and running, I think 500 plus yards, and just a real inspired game, obviously, for him.
It was the only game Gabato had for his junior and senior combined that he was under 100 yards. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something. I mean, that's a kid that was doing 100 yards a half.
Right. Exactly.
Tyler, what do you think? 5 names?
Yeah. Thanks for telling the story, Coach, and I appreciate you saying that. But I think we're ready for 5 names.
Tyler,
sure.
That's one of those stories that's like, it's a great story to hear, but it's also like a devastating story to hear. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I couldn't imagine being in that situation, but you always it's like Brett Favre. You know, when he had the Monday night game, I think it was after his dad had passed away, and he just went bonkers. Just did all kinds of crazy stuff, and crazy things happen when you face adversity at times. But well, let's go 5 names here, Coach. So I'll give you 5 names, and just kind of give me what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear these names. All right.
Sure.
First name, Corbett Hansen.
Oh, Corbett was a great friend of mine in high school, and just a stud. First of all, he was kind of the dude, and then we got to play together in college. I wouldn't say we were close friends in high school, but we became much better friends at Western, and I really respect Corbett, and he's just a stud.
Not much of a basketball referee, though, I hear, right?
Well, everybody knows no basketball referees are going to heaven. So
I think there's about 10 people outside of coaches and players I know in Whatcom County, and somehow I know him. Second name, Jeff Curtis.
Sorry, say that again.
Jeff Curtis.
One of the best athletes I've ever played against. If you were to ask me who the best athlete is to come through Whatcom County football, Jeff Curtis would be at the top of my list. He could do everything. And people don't know that. If he'd run our system today, oh my gosh. The guy could run, jump, throw a mile. Incredible athlete.
Yeah. Mitch Thompson.
One scary dude that I was so glad to have on our football team. He best and most physical linebacker I have ever seen in high school football, hands down.
Yeah. A name you mentioned.
Coach, can I tell a story about Mitch? I know this is supposed to be short.
Go for it.
Yeah.
But we played Sultan. They had this kid at fullback that they thought was the cat's meow, and was a big, strong kid, but they pulled him out at halftime because Mitch had hit him so many times, and they just didn't want to get him hurt. After the game, during our post meeting in the locker room, their coach came in to seek out Mitch and just tell him what a stud he was. And you just don't have the other coach come into your locker room right after post game. And Mitch was incredible.
Yeah. Usually that's something that might be like a phone call to the head coach the next day to let him know, like, hey, that guy was ridiculous. But never do you walk into the opposing team's locker room and tell a kid how good he is. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fourth name is a name you mentioned a little bit ago, Trey Handy.
Quick, tough as nails, always had pain that he was playing through that nobody knew about except for us, and severe pain. And but gritty as gritty gets.
Last name is a name, a young man that I know really well, Casey Bauman.
Yeah, just the dream quarterback for what people are doing today and for our offense. You just don't get kids built like him with arms like him very often, and we were really beneficial or really fortunate to have him on our team.
I think it was his senior year. Tyler, maybe you remember this play. Coach, you might even remember it too, I guess. I want to say maybe it was Coopville or somebody, and he like rolled out and was like on the run and threw the ball. I swear that ball had to have gone like 80 yards in the air. And I just remember, like, it's one of those plays you see, I saw it probably 2 weeks later on a highlight video or something. And it's one of those balls that it left his hand, went way out of the screen. But as soon as it left his hand, you just went, oh my God, like, how far is this ball going to go? And the camera turns and turns and turns and turns. And then all of a sudden the ball comes down and the guy's standing there to catch it. And you're just like, good Lord, what an arm on this guy, And the crazy thing about him, and I think a lot of people maybe don't realize, he was really athletic too. I mean, he absolutely could have been a D end or an outside brush backer at the next level if that was what he put his focus into. I mean, he absolutely could have been. Yeah,
for sure. One of his first games playing as a sophomore, we played Montesano, and Montesano was tough, and the bus had gotten stopped in traffic, and we got there literally a half hour before game time, and so we were just all discombobulated to begin with, and it just was not a great night for us whatsoever. But Casey and another kid were splitting time at QB, and Casey went out late in the game and against their starting defense, stiff-armed 3 kids in a row into the ground on a QB run. And it was like, okay, there's our guy for the rest of the year. I mean, it was really impressive. Just boom, 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 3 guys falling on the face. It was like a Marshawn Lynch run.
Tyler?
Yeah. I'm just shaking my head because I can see tons of these different Casey Bauman plays where I see multiple stiff arms and then an 80-yard pass, it seems like. And he always seemed to look like Godzilla just kind of batting away the helicopters. That's just kind of and when I started doing what I was doing, writing preseason write-ups and stuff, and I'm going out to the schools, was his junior year. And when you see him, especially when you're, only 5'5" like I am, when you see him in person, it's really impressive. He definitely passes the eye test and everything. And then the competitiveness and the athleticism. And he's one that will always be remembered for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah. Coach, there was one of the things I was gonna bring up, and I'm gonna go back to the Nooksack days a little bit, but you kind of brought up your assistant coaches, and there's a handful of them that just were with you for so long, and it's just it was such a cool thing that, again, going out to practice, you kind of saw those same guys year after year. TJ Ackerman, Britt Lentz, Justin Braun, Jesse Dykstra, those guys, it seems like, were there forever with you. And it's just it's a really testament to being able to want to be with you and stuff like that. What can you say about those guys? Because you coached you didn't coach Coach Braun, but you coached the other 3 guys when they were playing in high school. So
some of my best friends, no question. And all of my coaching staff we will be close forever. We really wish we could stick together, I think, for a long time. But those guys have kids coming up in the program, and
right.
I wish them well. And, Craig is going to do a great job. Craig and I are great friends too. And so really, I will miss that staff as much as anything. 20 years with many of those guys. And once they came, they didn't seem to leave. And so that was a lot of fun. And we spent a lot of time together. And so we still talk daily and go over some ideas. And last night out at our practice, I called TJ and said, hey, I forget how we blocked this play. Give me some info. And he told me over the phone, and I told him how wrong he was. And then we went on from there.
Oh, that's awesome, Coach. Yeah, it's the other thing about Nooksack that I always loved and it's something that you built there was, it seemed like you were so interested in just building character in young men, and it was so evident just being there, getting to witness it, and even though Mount Baker is where I played and I do live in Blaine, there was something special about going out there. I felt like the community really embraced me, and I just want to really thank you for that, because it's something that you built, and I know you're going to do the same at Bellingham, and I just think all of Whatcom County is really excited about it.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's definitely something very important to me and all of my coaches, but I think that's the way with all of the coaches in our league. I think we have got some fine men, great role models, great examples, and there's not a coach, I don't think, in our league that I wouldn't mind coaching for. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, Coach, I got one for you here.
Yeah.
Tony Franklin's system. If you were to give me, say, like, what is the most common formation in the Tony Franklin system? Like, is it 4 receivers, 3 receivers with a back? What is it?
4 receivers, we call it ace, and it's just 2 receivers on both sides and 1 back and shotgun, and that would be the base starting formation, and then everything else comes off of that.
Okay, so here's your question, all right?
Sure.
You graduated, was it 88 out of Nooksack?
Yeah.
Okay, so your memory goes back quite a ways as far as Whatcom County football and the players. And Tyler, I want you to hop in on this a little bit also, all right?
Okay.
Tony Franklin's system, 4 receivers, a running back, and a quarterback. You can pick anybody all time from Whatcom County for each of those spots. Who are you going with, Coach?
Oh, that is a great question.
That's why I ask. Let's start with quarterback.
There's been some great ones. You know, Jeff Curtis would be really high on my list, no question. I obviously have some partiality to my 2 sons.
Yeah.
They fit the system well and played well in it. And then there's a whole bunch. If I had to take those 2 boys out just for they got disqualified for being my sons, then I would go Jeff Curtis.
Okay, how about a running back?
Well, it's got to be Joel Pears jumps out.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
He was just a freaking stud at Meridian, and we never had an answer for him offensively or defensively. Really impressive player.
That's a great call, Coach, because he can catch the ball too.
I would want somebody that can both run and catch out of the backfield.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk receivers. Give me 2 outside receivers.
Well, Trey Handy for us, you go with what you know, and I definitely know that he can play a lot of football. And the other kid, again, from that I know, is Adam Van Diest from our school. Unbelievable athlete. If he could play quarterback in our system too. We were that was back in the Wing Teague days, and we just didn't know how to utilize him the best possible. If he'd been in our current system, good night. He would have up.
Yeah.
All right, and 2 inside receivers.
Oh, wow. Over the years, Meridian has always had some really impressive kids. So Andre Lentz would be a kid there that could fit as our Y. Obviously, I like all of our kids that we used there over the years. We had a lot of great inside, just off the ball tight ends. And but Lentz would be a hard one to top for sure.
Coach, when you think of the toughest places you've ever had to coach a game, what are the kind of first couple ones that come to mind?
Montesano would be one.
Old Montesano, or did you guys go to New Montesano? Because it burnt down a few years ago.
I think we went there one of the first games after they built that new
Okay.
stadium.
Yeah, I've been to that one, and it's kind of a pit in a way. Like it's like lower than the outside area, and it's a really cool facility.
Well, then they have this stupid cannon. I swear, sit under the visitor bench. It goes off every time they score a touchdown, and they scored a lot of touchdowns the night we were there. I don't know how many times I pooped my pants forgetting that would go off. But it wasn't fun to be around, and it about blew my clothes off every time. I didn't even know where it was. but I was not a happy person by the time that thing was over. So that was a tough place. Obviously, any of our local schools, Baker, Meridian, LC, you just have nerves playing through you the whole time when you know you're going there. And you know those places really well, but they're not easy to go to and play, that's for sure.
Tyler?
Well, I didn't know if you had your magic question about one game.
Oh, you want to go with that one?
Well, keep it in mind. But I was going to ask you a little bit, Coach, about your 2009 team. It was the only time that Nooksack Valley has ever made it to the semifinals in school history. You got them there, but there was a game on the way to getting there against Kings that I just watched the game film of this probably 3 months ago again, what a crazy game that was. And that's something that you'll probably always remember.
Yeah, obviously, I wish we had a real live, not broken up by huddle game
Right.
that with announcers, because it was crazy. But that game was really set up the week before with our game with La Center. And we went down and played La Center, and I think with 2 minutes to go before half, or maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we were down 14-7. At halftime, it was like 28-28. And so, or something really close to that. And there were 3 or 4 or 5 touchdowns scored in that 2 minute period right before half. And so we knew with that group that we could score fast. And we ended up doing well in the second half and winning that football game. And we've been down, I think, 21-7, like I said, at one point to La Center, which was a really good football team. And so getting the Kings, we're down. I don't remember what the halftime score was, but right after halftime, it was 40-13. And at the half, to be honest with you, I never feel like if we're down, we're going to lose. I always feel like we've got a chance because our system is designed to get the other team tired. And it may not happen in the first half, but we want to throw a lot of screens, get the defensive linemen running side to side, from sideline to sideline, and chasing our guys all over the field. And hopefully by halftime, they start running out of gas. The Kings game, we got to halftime, and TJ came up to me and said, hey, just remember, fast slows down. Big doesn't get smaller. And we were bigger than Kings, and they were way faster than we were. And so we went in, and I still felt confident. I thought, if we can get a couple plays, we've got a chance to get back into this thing. It didn't look good. We had some parents calling us on the phone at halftime and suggesting a few things. And it's like, we don't even do that stuff, but okay. So we came out, we recovered an onside kick that wasn't meant to be an onside kick. It just went off our kicker's foot wrong, hit the guy right in the middle of the chest and bounced back to us. We did try another onside kick and recovered that. We really started running the ball with Nick DeGrosse and in our offensive line running zone, which is a play we haven't been real successful with over the years against other teams. But with that team, our offensive line was so big. Yeah. You have a BJ Salmonson up there, Jesse Salmonson, Larson, Dykes. Yeah, just a huge group and great kids. And so we really started running the football, and by that time they started to wear out and started to slow down. And once that momentum starts to go, you tighten up a little bit, and they did. And I think in a 13-minute time frame, it went from 40-13 to 56-49 or something like that in 13 minutes. And just an incredible game. Our kids did great.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryland.
I can't hear you, Ryan. Ryland, you went.
Very little, Ryland.
How about that? Yes? No?
It's still pretty quiet.
Huh. Well, I don't know what the heck is going on. Maybe that? No? How about that? Better? No?
It's still really, really, really quiet.
Tyler,
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Ask the question.
There you go. You're good now, Ryland.
Oh, okay. Coach, if you could go back and coach a game that you've already coached again, obviously I would think you'd want to coach a game you lost and have another shot at it. Which game would you pick and why?
Maybe our Cascade Christian one just a few years back with when we had Casey Bauman's group. There's obviously going to be a lot in that category, but that one was another game where we got pretty far behind early and made a big comeback late. And there's a really weird penalty in that game. And we had them pinned back. It was maybe 3rd and 9. And we had a kid go onto the field, and that gave us 12 players. And so he came sprinting back off, but we on the sideline counted wrong and told him to go back on. And so it ended up being 12 players on the field, but the referees called it illegal participation and gave us a 15-yard penalty, first down for Cascade Christian. And that was the late in the game when it was getting really close. And I thought we were going to get the ball back, go score, and win the football game at that point. Well, that gave them a first down, and they ended up driving down and scoring. And then we scored again and ended up, I think, lost by 7 points, if I remember right. I'm not Bob Ames. I do not remember details like he does. But so that one would be one that, I wish we would have gotten off to a little bit better start, and that would have put us a little bit further into the playoffs. And I thought we could have performed pretty well in the playoffs that year, and we just got stopped in that round. Cascade Christian was never very nice to us.
They weren't very nice to a lot of 1A schools over the years.
It just seemed like we always got matched up with them every single year through that stretch. I think we played them 10 total games in so many years, and it was usually not in our favor, except for when we had Mitch Thompson. One of the best hits I've ever seen was the early years against Cascade Christian, and quarterback draw that they probably wish they hadn't called.
I think I saw you guys play a Saturday night down. It was a non-conference game early in the season down at Sumner High School, and I think it was a really high-scoring game, if I can remember right. And I think Tanner might have been the quarterback.
That was probably Trevin's senior year with Trey Handy on the outside. And
okay.
I think Trey had close to 300 receiving yards that game, high 200s, and we just kept throwing it deep to him, and their kid it was a good matchup for us, and Trev could throw the ball pretty far. And it was a close, tight game, but they always had some players that the rest of us didn't have.
Tyler, do you got anything else? I got one more.
No, I don't have anything. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen for the Red Raiders. I am excited to go out to practice whenever I'm allowed and just kind of see what's going to happen, because I just think it's going to be really, really cool, and I'm pumped for it, and I'm personally excited because I get to stay in contact with you, Coach, and see you do what you do, and it's always great when I get to stay in contact with people that I like, and so I'm thankful that we get to do this. This is cool.
Thank you. You're obviously invited anytime. We run a very open practice. We want people in the community out there, and just seeing what we're about. It makes the kids accountable, and the coaches, and we like having people out there for sure.
Awesome.
All right, my last question, Coach. You mentioned Bob Ames, and he retired after last season. I don't think it's surprise to anybody at this point that I'm saying that. You coached against him a ton. You got to have a good Bob Ames story in you.
He played against
him your
too.
Best. What's that?
He played against him too.
Oh yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, that's pretty wild. What's your best Bob Ames story?
Boy, that's a great question. Early in my career, when I was an assistant coach, I didn't know Bob as a player. As a player, you don't really know the other coaches. But early in my career as an assistant coach, I wasn't a fan, to be honest with you. And that changed over the years big time. Bob and I became good friends. Bob will offer you anything. He has helped us win some football games, to be honest with you, by sharing some information with me. If you give him a call, we would always be able to go to his house, sit down, and go over some stuff. And he'd come over to my place and exchange film, and I really, really appreciated him. He was always gonna be straight with you, tell you exactly what he thought. You knew nothing that he said about his team was true, but that's okay. You just knew it, and so it wasn't something that made you upset or anything, because that's just the way Bob was, and so, or is. He retired like 7 times, I think, while I was coaching, and always came back. You get a little bit excited, thinking, oh, finally get rid of this Hall of Fame, second most wins in Washington coaching history type of guy. And then he'd unretire, and oh boy, we got a few more years with around. But I really appreciate him. I really appreciate his help over the years, and I will always look up to him. And he, the way he coached and what he expected out of his teams, I think drastically changed over the years too, and really impressed me.
Tyler, that's all I got.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good. All right. Well, we will wrap it up right there. We are at 42 minutes, Tyler. 42
Perfect.
minutes. It sure doesn't feel like it was 42 minutes.
No, it went fast.
That went really fast. I mean, that was that's like a Mount Baker scrimmage first half right there, just real quick. Clock never stops, just running the ball over and over and over. But
I've got one more story I've got to tell you.
Okay.
It really is short and stupid, but one of the funniest things that I've ever experienced in coaching is our JV kids were playing in Lakewood a number of years ago, and at halftime, or late in the game, our kids were beating up on them pretty good. And one of our boys comes off to the sidelines, and Coach Braun says to him, "Hey, how's it going out there? Are you having fun?" And the kid says, "No, that stupid official keeps telling me to pull my head out of my behind." And Braun goes, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, he's told me 3 times, get your head out of your behind." He says, "I'm not even doing anything." Braun says, "Wow, okay, I'll talk to him. Why don't you get back out there and just keep doing what you're doing?" So the kid goes back out there, and the next play, there's a flag. And encroachment, number 76, defense. Braun goes, what did he do? He goes, "Coach, I have told him 3 times, get your head behind the line."
Yes.
He just keeps lining up offside, and that's been a funny story that we've just lived off of for years and years and years.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that is the best possible way to end this thing right here.
Totally. Exactly. I love it. I love it. Good humor goes a long way.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you what, Tyler Anderson. Oh, wait, Tyler, we forgot something.
What's that?
Point to the star where Bellingham is. We got to do that.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Right there. Right there.
The red one, right in the middle.
Yeah, Bellingham, baby.
The good red one, right, Tyler?
Yeah. Right.
Had a nighttime practice last night with the guys, and there's a lot more lights in Bellingham than there is out at Nooksack Valley. That's for sure. Seeing the Herald building lit up and the big tower in town, it was pretty cool. Really neat.
That's awesome.
I've only been to Nooksack, once or twice. I think the actual only football I've seen out there was you guys did a preseason week 0 scrimmage a few years ago that I was at. And I ended up leaving early to get to one that was at Civic Stadium also. But tell me this. So I've driven through that border crossing right there quite a few times, headed to Chilliwack to go watch hockey. Is the smell on the practice field a little different at Bellingham than it is out there at Nooksack?
Once you've been out there a while, number one, I've had 3 sinus surgeries and I can't smell anything anymore. I could be in a room full of skunks and I wouldn't know it. So I don't get to appreciate that smell anymore. Definitely a Linden Christian farmer that lives across the road, and he purposely, I think, does that on Friday nights to us and teams that come up. It is a home field advantage. We've had kids on the other sideline from that smell on occasion, but our kids are used to it, and so it doesn't bother them so much. I can't tell you what Bellingham smells like because, like I said, I can't smell. But I'm sure it's better. But the setting at Nooksack Valley, early fall with the corn high right behind the stadium and the mountains there, is a gorgeous field. Yeah. Bellingham's a whole different thing, and really that was a neat thing last night to see the tall buildings around and feel like, oh wow, this is a different place.
Right. Yeah, I like Nooksack, like the feel of like to me that's like football. You know what I mean? Like Nooksack, Mount Baker. Like those 2 fields, it's just I love the feel of it, and I love how Nooksack you can look straight north and like see a whole nother city that you can't just walk to from like right there. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird to me. First time I ever stepped foot on that field, that I think we were going to Chilliwack to watch hockey, and I was like, you know what? I just want to take pictures of the stadium, so we just stopped really quickly. I remember standing at about the 50, looking north, going, "Hey, wait a minute! Like that's Abbotsford!" Like it was just so. I don't know why, but it just didn't occur to me until I'm standing there looking around going, wait a minute, that's actually pretty cool. Like how many, I can't think of another stadium in the state where you can stand there. And I guess maybe Blaine a little bit, but it's not the same at Blaine. I mean, when you're at Nooksack and you're looking straight north, I mean, like there's houses, all kinds of stuff that you can see right there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, bright lights, big city, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 1 million people right across the border from a town of 3 towns of 3,000.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Well, we're going to let you get going. Tyler Anderson, WhatcomPreps.com. If you want to check out the 2020 virtual season, upper left-hand corner, it's there now. It is updated again, right, Tyler? I think
yes,
I saw
it is. Yeah, it's good now.
I'm Ryland Spencer. CascadiaPreps.com is the website. Coach Robb Myhre, thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you, and pull out a little bit of Russell Wilson and go Red Raiders.
I love it, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.